Hello and welcome everybody. Today is a day of good news. As it turns out, Avengers Endgame might not have been the last time that we saw RDJ as Tony Stark. So today we discuss Tony Stark's appearance in upcoming Spider-Man Far From Home, which is now officially the last movie of MCU Phase 3 instead of Avengers Endgame. And what does his presence in this movie tells us about Phase 4. And last but not the least, we'll also talk about the best way to bring back Tony without messing up the timelines and creating those complicated alternate realities. Now with that out of the way, let's get this video started.
If you even cared, you'd actually be here.
Marvel owes much of its cinematic universe success to RDJ, who kick-started this unbelievable once-in-a-generation phenomena. And over 10 years, he has played this pivotal role of Tony Stark in 9 of 22 MCU movies. While in Avengers Endgame, he sacrifices himself to save the universe with a snap, we were made to believe that it was truly the last time that we were seeing RDJ as Iron Man. But as it turns out, it seems certain at this point that he will make his 10th MCU appearance. And probably this might be his last, as Marvel wraps up MCU Phase 3. And you can't wrap up Phase 3 without Tony, it just won't feel like a closure. In case you are hoping that we'll get to see Tony alive again, then let me warn you that might not necessarily be the case. Marvel won't undo such an emotional sacrifice, as it would undermine the ending of Avengers Endgame. And Russos have made it very clear that RDJ is done playing Iron Man at least for the foreseeable future. So in what capacity will Tony appear in a Spider-Man Far From Home? Well, the answer is hidden in plain sight in the ending of Avengers Endgame, where we see Tony leave a recorded holographic message for his family. Now we know that Peter Parker gets hold of some of Tony's technologies thanks to Happy Hogan. And in the trailers, we even see Peter wearing Tony's nanotech glasses, which have built-in AI assistant Friday. And it seems obvious that Tony would have wanted Peter to have some of his cool stuff. And while at it, Tony wouldn't have missed slipping in few of his recorded messages. In Endgame, Tony didn't get to say his goodbyes to Peter, and since he was like a son to him, it is apparent that Marvel will give us this one final emotional father and son moment where Tony passes on some of his life wisdoms to prevent Peter from making the same mistakes that he did. So yeah, expect Tony to show up as a holographic projection, telling Peter that with power comes responsibility, or something like that. Many people have been wondering that Tony might be the new AI assistant for Peter. Well, it would be awesome if that happens, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be that lucky. A Spider-Man Far From Home will be the last appearance of RDJ as Tony for a while, before he decides to do another cameo few years down the road. Now let's address the question, what if Marvel wanted to bring him back? What is the best way to bring back Iron Man? Well, we have already discussed in our previous video why Infinity Stones can't be used to resurrect Tony Stark, so Snap is out of the picture. But what about time travel, bringing Tony from past just like Gamora? Well, here is a problem with that. If you bring Tony from past, then it will create an alternate timeline where Thanos wins because there is no Tony Stark to snap him away. But there is a way. It's little complicated, yes, but not as complicated as what we saw in Avengers Endgame. So this is how it goes. Remember the timeline where 2014 Thanos learns about his future and thus goes to 2023 main timeline to face the Avengers. Well, here's the interesting thing about that alternate timeline. There's no Thanos, no Gamora and no Nebula in that timeline after 2014. So Thanos never collects these stones and thus Infinity War never happens in that timeline. So I guess Tony Stark of that timeline is having a great time. Now here is the plan. Avengers travel to that timeline in 2018, just before the events of Infinity War. Because by that time Tony is a changed man who is willing to settle down with Pepper Potts. But here's the hard part. Convincing Tony that he should leave that timeline and come with them to the year 2023 in the main timeline is going to be a pickle. But maybe mentioning the fact that he already has a daughter who loves him 3000 might help. Maybe the Avengers should bring Morgan with them to prove the point. And as far as Pepper of that timeline is concerned, I guess she will be supportive and understanding because anyhow one of the Pepper Potts has to live without him. Now if you're wondering how the heck they will travel to that alternate timeline, because we have seen the time machine only being used to travel to the past of the main timeline. We haven't yet seen the Avengers using it to travel to an alternate reality, or have we? We'll answer that question in our next video. So that's it for today, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to enter the giveaways.